What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Today we got a Bleacher Report article that we're going to look at. It's every team's toughest free agency decision for this upcoming offseason. Should be interesting. Talks about all 30 teams. So let's go ahead and get into it. As we get started, leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Getting closer to 500 subs. I appreciate y'all. This is by Grant Hughes. As you see, the cover guy, DeAndre Ayton. He didn't get that extension before this season, so the Suns might have to pay him a big bag. So we'll see what happens. But the first team on the list is the Atlanta Hawks. Danilo Gallinari. I think this is okay. I think his contract's not guaranteed next season, so we might see him just be cut, and they'll get off that $20 million that I think he's supposed to be owed. I could definitely see him on a new team. He's been okay with Atlanta, but I don't think he's as impactful as $20 million per year would say. So I can definitely see the Hawks moving on from him. Next up is the Boston Celtics. They don't really have anybody that's like a free agent, so they have Sam Hauser here, which he's not even a rotational guy, so we'll just move on to the next team. I think if the Celtics are going to make any big decisions, it will probably be through the trade market. So let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie Irving is the guy for Brooklyn. I would expect him to be back in Brooklyn next season, hopefully, especially with the vaccine mandate supposedly maybe getting lifted sometime soon. So I would expect Kyrie to be back in Brooklyn. I think before it was the big question on if James Harden was going to resign, but now that he's obviously been traded, get Kyrie back. Hopefully Ben Simmons will be ready, and you'll have Kevin Durant, and we'll see what this team can do, when they're at full strength, because I don't think this season is going to be their year, because they're not looking good right now. We don't know when Ben Simmons is going to be back. They just got KD back, so it might be a little difficult. Miles Bridges for the Hornets. Everything I've seen is like the Pistons are going to throw a bag at him, and rightfully so, man. He's been like I think 20 point per game scorer this season. He's been very good. He's gotten better each of the last few seasons, and to where now he's like a legit offensive weapon, like a legit guy that can go out and average 20 points on a pretty solid team. It's going to be tough if Charlotte wants to bring him back. They're probably going to have to overpay just a little bit, because Detroit has a lot of cap space, and he's a young talent who's still like, what, 23, maybe 24 years old. He's not he's still a very young guy that has probably more room to grow, and he would fit nicely in Detroit. But if I was the Hornets, I would definitely have to match whatever he gets, unless it's just an outrageous number. But that's a decision that's going to be a tough one for that front office to make in the offseason. The Bulls, Zach LaVine. I don't think this is a difficult decision. Give Zach LaVine what he wants. If you have to max him out, max him out. Give him what he wants. He's arguably your best player, and if not, him and DeMar, 1A, 1B. Got to keep Zach in town, man. He's been a part of this rebuild, and he's getting better basically every season, and he's still like, I think 25, maybe 26 years old. It's crazy that he's not like, I thought he was like 27, 28. He's still super young. He's still super young, probably still has even more room to grow his game. So throw whatever amount of money that you can at Zach LaVine to keep him in Chicago. This one's going to be difficult. Collin, Sexton for the Cavs. Cleveland, they've been struggling a little bit lately, but injuries has been their biggest obstacle this season. Like, they've been really struggling with the injury bug. It seems like every time they get healthy, somebody else goes out. Jared Allen just fractured his finger last night, so they're down another guy. They're down another all-star. Collin Sexton, very good scorer. I'm interested to see if I think he will be back in Cleveland, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term deal. It might be a one-year prove-it type of deal, and if then, they'll probably lose him in the following offseason to unrestricted free agency. But if you can get him back on a cheaper deal and he can still produce, we'll see what his role is with this team since they added in Caris LeVert. I don't know, but maybe there's a team out there that's just like, we'll throw Collin Sexton a lot of money and the Cavs won't match it. That's definitely a possibility. I think either way, the Cavs will be in good shape. I think they've built this roster to where if they get Collin Sexton back, that'll be great. But if not, they'll be fine without him too. So I'm not really too worried about that. This one's interesting. Jalen Brunson. This is a tough one for sure, because he might get a lot of money from a team that's not that good. I've seen Detroit really wants him. According to some reports, Detroit is really interested in Jalen Brunson. And if you're the Mavs, I don't know if you pay him like the $20 million that he's probably wanting, per season. Even though he's been very good, he's improved pretty much each season of his career. But if you make a move like for Spencer Dinwiddie, maybe that's a little bit of an insurance compared to paying Jalen Brunson $20 million a year. That's just a lot to ask. And then that kind of puts you in handcuffs. You can't really make other moves necessary to improve this roster. So this is an interesting name that I think Could be on the move out of Dallas potentially this offseason. Moving on to the next team, Denver. Their core guys are pretty much locked up. Like they extended Aaron Gordon, I think last offseason. Jokic is locked up. Michael Porter Jr.'s got paid. Jamal Murray's locked up. Like their core guys are there. So everything else is just moves around the edges. If they lose Bryn Forbes, that's fine. I'm sure they'll be able to find a decent replacement for Bryn Forbes. And plus, their added pieces is going to be guys coming back from injury. So I'm not really too worried about them potentially losing Bryn Forbes. And as we talked about Detroit, they talked about Brunson. I think he's a restricted free agent. Miles Bridges, restricted free agent. They're probably going to throw bags at a bunch of young guys and hope that one team will not match that offer and they can bring in some young talent. I like the fit of Miles Bridges. He's from Michigan, so I think that would fit perfectly. We'll see who they do throw that money at, but I'm sure they might get one of those guys to come to Detroit. Kevon Looney, okay, yeah, the Warriors, another team, they have most of their core guys locked up. I think he's somebody that will be good to still have around because he knows how to play with this unit. I guess he's a vet. I think Kevon Looney's only I think he's like 28 years old. He seems a lot older than what he is, but he's somebody that knows how to play with Steph, knows how to play with Clay, and guys respect him. He's been in that locker room for, pretty much his entire career now. So definitely somebody they should try to bring back. But if they do lose him, I'm sure they'll find a viable replacement, always like the Warriors do. Next team up, John Wall. There's not really, I don't think there's going to be a decision to be made because he has a player option that's worth what it says right here, $47 million. And I think John Wall's still a viable NBA player, but he's not getting $47 million from another team. So I expect him to opt into that. And then Houston will have to decide what to do with him, if they can trade him, buy him out, I don't know. But he's definitely taking that money. TJ Warren, we haven't seen TJ Warren play basketball in like 2 years. It's been so long. It's like this man walked into the bubble and I haven't seen him play basketball since then. Get healthy. That's the big thing for him. Get healthy. The Pacers, if I was them, let him walk. You're kind of in the midst of a little rebuild, retool anyway, so I think you can do without TJ Warren, maybe a sign and trade, but his value is probably so low right now because he hasn't been able to show that he can play basketball. He's been out for like 2 years. So we'll move on to the next team. The Clippers, Rocco. The Clippers are an interesting team because they're still good right now, but once they get Kawhi, PG back, it's a championship team. I think Robert Covington can be a good piece for them, but obviously he's probably somebody that a lot of teams will want because he's a vet that does, he's still a quality defender and he can hit the three-point shot at a decent rate. So teams will definitely be looking to add him to their, rosters. But if the Clippers could keep him, I would really like that move a lot. But I think this team moving forward, they're going to be scary next year as long as they can stay healthy, for sure. The Lakers, LeBron, bring him back. Bring him back. It's going to be interesting though if LeBron eventually does leave LA and he's still playing at such a high level that, I don't know, the Lakers are they're in such a weird spot because how can they get this roster better in the offseason? Because you still got Westbrook. He's probably going to be there, and if not, you're not going to get much in return. You still got AD. And then everybody else is like young expiring contracts or old expiring contracts. So I'm not sure what this team is going to look like moving forward. But shout out to Braun for dropping 56 the other night, showing that he's one of the best scorers ever. One of the best ever. Everything I've read this season is Kyle Anderson's probably gone. And I think this team will be fine without him. The Grizzlies, they just find a way to replace guys with younger talent, and they'll probably find that. Like, it might be Zaire Williams he's the next wing to step up into that mold. Desmond Bain continues to get better. Maybe Dylan Brooks will still be on the team. I think they'll be fine without Kyle Anderson. I trust this front office so much to make the right decisions on whether to keep guys or trade them away. And I'm sure there will be not a free agent destination like for big names, but like guys that can fill in roles around the edges. I think will go to Memphis because they maximize their talent. So I will expect Kyle Anderson to be in a different situation next year, but the Grizzlies will be fine. Caleb Martin, another team that just finds ways to, find talent out of nowhere. They find guys like Caleb Martin. A lot of guys, like him and his twin brother, we didn't really know who was that much better. Caleb Martin's really stepped up this season and kind of separated that gap between them. Max Struss came out of nowhere, undrafted guy. You're at 7. Like, they just find guys. Duncan Robinson was an undrafted guy. They find guys out of nowhere, and they develop their talent, and they maximize their potential in Miami. So if they lose Caleb Barn, they'll find another guy to replace him. He would definitely be nice to keep, though, because he's been a pretty decent piece on a team that's the best in the Eastern Conference right now. Moving on to the next team, the Bucks. How much tax is too much? And Bobby Portis is the cover guy. This is a team that, you know, they let PJ Tucker walk in the offseason, which was kind of tough because they didn't want to hit that tax. Depending on how the season goes, I feel like they should just try their best to keep their core group intact, and Bobby Portis is a big piece of that. And maybe just make moves around the edges to, you know, shed some salary, which I think is possible with this team. And who knows, maybe they'll see Brook Lopez as expendable, because they've been pretty good without Brook Lopez this season, I would say. And Giannis at the 5 is basically what they want to do moving forward anyway. So we'll see what their offseason looks like. But definitely try to keep your core guys if you can. The Timberwolves, who gets the mid-level exception? They got Rocco here. I'm going to just say, like, I like what the Timberwolves are doing. Very, very successful season for them. I think they're like 7 games above 500 right now. I would like to see them just add some more veteran pieces, like a Robert Covington. Bringing him back to Minnesota would be good. Just some vet guys that can defend, hit the three-point shot, and just bring some leadership, some defensive, you know, mentality to the team, because that's been the big improvement from them this season, is their defense has been a lot better. So there's only room to grow for this team, and getting a guy like Rocco or another 3-and-D guy that's on the market will be a big-time help for them moving forward. The Pelicans, Zion's extension. I hope Zion just, we'll see him back on the court this season. Hope he buys into what the Pelicans are doing, because they've been looking really good since the CJ trade. They did just lose a tough game last night to Jokic and the Nuggets, when Jokic had like 40-something point triple-double. But I think Zion should just definitely give the team a chance, sign that extension, because I think they're building something decent in New Orleans. It's just a matter of him staying on the court. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for this team, man. But they've been playing really good. Mitchell Robinson, this is a Knicks team that's going to look a lot different, I think, next season. I think they should probably just move with the youth movement, so bringing Mitchell Robinson back will be good. Build with RJ Barrett as one of your main guys. Let Cam Reddish thrive, so try and trade away guys like Fournier. Maybe Julius Randle's on the move too, but his contract is so massive that he will be tough to move. But I'm a fan of bringing Mitchell Robinson back and building with this young core, because they got young talent on this team. It's just a matter of giving those guys the opportunity, which guys like Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, quickly, they haven't been given consistent opportunity to show what they can be. Next, Mike Muscala, Philadelphia 76er legend, according to Twitter over the last couple weeks. OKC, we know what they do. Their offseason is going to be centered around them drafting well and trying to flip veteran guys into young assets or draft picks. So we know what OKC's all about. Not really too worried about them losing Mike Muscala, even though he plays really good basketball for them. But I think the offseason could be a really big bridge year for OKC, maybe trying to make a decent splash move with all those draft picks that they do have. Mo Bamba didn't get the rookie extension. He was in trade talks at the deadline. I could see him being on a different team. I could see him being on a different team for sure. And this is a team that already has a lot of money tied into young guys. John Isaac, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter. Of course, they want to see what Jalen Suggs can turn into, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton. They got so many young guys. I think Mo Bamba is expendable. We will probably see him on a different team next year. Maybe in Toronto, you never know. James Harden, so far, looks pretty good on court. I'm kind of surprised on how good it does look. Bring him back. He said he's going to take that player option, but just bring him back. It's that simple, man. DeAndre Ayton, this is interesting. He's important to the Suns. He's definitely important to the Suns for sure. Teams are probably going to throw a bag at him, though, because he's so young, and we haven't seen what he can be as a main guy. He's been like a number 2 option early on in his career, but the team was bad. Him as a 3rd option has been good, and I think it's maximized his actual value. And he's been really good on the defensive side of the floor, and then some nights he shows what he can be offensively. Suns should definitely just pay him. Try and bring him back if you can. It's just going to be so interesting if a team like the Blazers throws a lot of money at him, or the Pistons throw a lot of money at him, or maybe the Hornets, if they can throw a bag. Like, it's going to be very interesting if that does happen and if the Suns decide to match that contract. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. Another interesting young guy, restricted free agent, Anfernee Simons. Everything that the Blazers are talking about is talking about them moving forward with him and Dame on the same roster. Everybody knows how I feel. I feel like they should trade Dame and build with Anfernee Simons. But either way, bring him back to the roster. Another guy that's going to be interesting to see how much money he does get, because he has been hooping, but it's still not a very big sample size on if he should get like 20-something million dollars a year. So we'll see. Maybe you can get away with maybe like 16 to 18 potentially, but we'll definitely see what kind of contract he gets. The Kings, Donte DiVincenzo, the Kings pissed me off. They made all those trades at the deadline, and they're not even the 10th seed. They're not even the 11 or 12. I think they're like 13th in the West right now. So you better bring back Donte DiVincenzo, because you made the trade at the deadline to get him. That's all I'm gonna say. I could talk about the Kings in another video, because I got a lot to say. Lonnie Walker, another interesting guy. He's been very good since they traded away Derek White, and I think his potential with this team is gonna be like as a six-man type. I think he can be elite in that role. So bring him back, maybe not for a big-time contract. I don't see maybe a team throwing a lot of money at him, but maybe a team does. You never know how restricted free agency works. If it's too much, just let him go. If it's too much, let him go. You got young guards, DeJounte, you still got Primo. I think you'll be fine with letting Lonnie Walker go if a team throws too much money at him. But if it can be like, you know, a team-friendly contract, definitely bring him back, because I think his best basketball is ahead of him. Chris Boucher, I could see Boucher on a different team. The Raptors, I mean, there's some nights he doesn't really even play. He hasn't been as good this season as he was last year. I could definitely see them letting him walk, potentially. But if you can bring him back on a friendly contract, I like that for this team. I'm sure they'll be in the market for a more of a, not traditional big, but like an actual big guy, like not, you know, because Boucher is more like a 4. Ken Burch is an undersized 5. Maybe like a legit 6'11" guy, 7-footer. I think the Raptors will be in the market for that. That's the biggest thing for them. Yeah, the Jazz, they don't really have like flexibility to go out and get somebody, because they paying Donovan Mitchell a lot. Rudy Gobert's getting a lot. Bojan Bogdanovic is making like 20 M's. So I guess that's why they're kind of in this predicament where they always have to bring back the guys that they have in their roster. Whiteside's been cool for them. Probably won't be able to upgrade that position, so just bring it back. This is a team that's kind of in a stuck situation. Another team that I've been watching closely lately, and the more I watch them, the less I believe in them to be a legit championship team. And Brad Beal, there was reports that he's eligible for like a $230-something million contract. That's a lot of money for a guy that's not even a perennial all-star. He's an all-star talent, but he doesn't make it every year. A team that's, you know, a playing team at best, and they just added Porzingis, so they're kind of in the spot where you have to bring him back, because if not, the Porzingis trade looks weird. Now you're stuck with his contract, so they're probably going to end up paying a lot of money for Bradley Beal to be a playing team. It's tough for them. Let me know what you think. Comment what your team's toughest decision is for this free agency, and if they should re-sign that guy or let him go. Let me know in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace.